Can you still see the electric glow of neon colors lighting up dance floors, city streets, and even your own closet? For a while, it felt like the whole world stepped out in electric pinks, screaming greens and bold yellows, casting off old rules and relishing every outrageous shade. The 1980s didn't just introduce a new palette, they unleashed a fashion revolution where the louder your outfit, the brighter your confidence seemed to shine. Stretchy spandex clung to movement, windbreakers whooshed with every step, and the acrid scent of fresh plastic wafted from new accessories. Remember slipping on those jelly bracelets or lacing up neon-trimmed high tops before heading out with friends under buzzing streetlights? Neon fashion wasn't just about clothes. It was an attitude, a statement that you were bold enough to stand out in a crowd. Did you ever dare to rock a pair of neon leggy warmers or layer colors until you rivaled the arcade lights? As we step back into a world framed in blacklight and ultraviolet glow, let's rediscover what made neon so unforgettable in the 80s and why its vivid spirit refuses to fade away even now. Step back for a moment and imagine the late 1970s. America was winding down from the disco fever, ushering in a new decade tinged with both uncertainty and excitement. Against a background of economic shift and technological promise, something wild began to brew in fashion. The seeds of the neon explosion didn't spring up overnight. Instead, they traced their roots to a fascinating mix of cultural stirrings, technological innovation, and youthful rebellion that coalesced just as society was ready for something completely different. But where did it all begin? What paved the way for this vibrant, unforgettable trend? To answer that, we have to consider the broader world. The late 1970s was an era of muted earth tones and softer silhouettes. Think of those autumnal browns, burnt oranges and olive greens, colors that felt cozy, even subdued, against the gritty reality of economic stagflation and changing world views. Yet, even as bell-bottoms and soft knits reigned, the creative energy buzzing beneath the surface hinted at something bolder on the horizon. Art, music, and film began inching toward a more experimental edge. Punk rock stormed in with neon mohawks and wild makeup, and the graffiti art movement sprayed fluorescent shades across city walls. The stage, it seemed, was being set for an outright color revolution. The true birth of neon fashion is tied to a remarkable technological leap, the development of new synthetic dyes and fabrics. In the late 70s and early 80s, advances in fiber technology brought spandex, lycra, and other stretch fabrics widely into the mainstream. Suddenly, manufacturers could produce garments in colors that literally had never existed before, pigments so bright, so clean, they seemed to glow right under ordinary lights. Neon wasn't just a new palette. It was a scientific marvel. Did you know that the chemical breakthroughs behind day-glow pigments originally came from efforts to improve road safety and brighten industrial signs in low-light conditions? The fashion world quickly realized these radiant hues could grab attention, not just on a caution sign, but on a crowded dance floor as well. Music, as it so often does, had a hand in shaping this trend. The launch of MTV in August 1981 marked a cultural reset on style standards. Suddenly, music wasn't just heard, it was seen. Videos by Duran Duran, Madonna, and Cyndi Lauper dazzled with wild costumes and set pieces drenched in luminous color. For young people, these artists became neon-clad icons. Overnight, clothing that might have seemed outlandish, neon pink skirts, lime green gloves, eye-popping accessories became blueprints for self-expression. Do you remember catching your first glimpse of those music videos and wondering if you were brave enough to step out in neon? Fitness culture also helped cement neons into the everyday wardrobe. In the wake of the jogging craze and a new consciousness around health, apparel brands recognized that exercise clothes needed to stand out. The signature look of aerobics, think Jane Fonda's workouts or the televised 20-minute workout, meant bold leotards, tights, and leg warmers, all awash in synthetic hues. Neon wasn't just for the clubs, it was suddenly part of the mainstream, flooding gyms, sidewalks, and suburban cul-de-sacs. And remarkably, many of these first neon workout outfits were hand-sewn by small local shops before major brands like Nike and Adidas joined the party. But perhaps the most surprising thing is how quickly neons traveled from the fringes to the center of American style. By the early 80s, what was once found only in punk clubs or trendy New York boutiques was suddenly everywhere. Department stores rolled out fluorescent sections with entire racks dedicated to electric blue windbreakers, citrus-colored socks, and jelly sandals in every shade of lemon lime. Some parents grumbled, and some delighted, but there was no denying that neon was everywhere. Even school supplies and bedroom decor took a cue. Think trapper keepers, Smurf nightlights, and glowing alarm clocks. Here's something you may not know. The phrase glow in the dark became an advertising goldmine during this period, even if most neon clothes simply reflected blacklight or strong sunlight rather than truly glowing. Marketing campaigns leaned into the illusion, giving every new product, from shoelaces to hats, a sheen of magical brilliance. Were you ever tempted by a glow-in-the-dark accessory only to discover it was the dazzling color that did the trick, not actual luminescence? Of course, not everyone was immediately on board. Older generations, those who had grown up with post-war conservatism or the muted classiness of the 1950s, sometimes looked askance at the wave of blinding shades. Grandparents squinted, teachers raised their eyebrows, and more than one principal tried to institute dress codes that would rein in distracting brightness. Yet neon's appeal was nearly impossible to smother. After all, for many young Americans, these colors symbolized freedom, energy, and a bold, almost defiant optimism during a decade when rapid change seemed to be the only constant. And just think, neon wasn't limited to clothes. Pop culture itself became a shining canvas. Movie posters, arcade cabinets, and fast food signs all adopted the bold, high-contrast palette of highlighter yellow and hot pink. It's worth noting that the blockbuster Back to the Future featured a time-traveling DeLorean bathed in luminous underglow, while Miami Vice painted television screens with pastel and neon sunsets, reinforcing the association between electric color and modern cool. Did one of these movies or shows shape the way you felt about taking a chance on vivid hues? Ironically, the very brightness that made neon such a hit also made it uniquely powerful in fostering community and individuality at the same time. Large groups at concerts or marathons became a sea of color, each person visible, yet unmistakably their own. You might remember cheering at a parade or running a fun run, catching sight of friends just by their brilliant shirts. There's a kind of nostalgia in knowing that for a brief, brilliant moment, the boundaries between blending in and standing out were erased by electric style. What happened next, though, would ensure that neon wasn't just a passing fad, but a force that would define and dazzle the rest of the decade. It wasn't long before a burst of innovation in manufacturing and design sent neon into every corner of life, turning clothing into a new kind of personal spotlight. So how did the technology behind these audacious colors evolve next? And in what surprising ways did neon fashion leap from the rack onto runways and sidewalks alike, setting new records for what American style could be? Let's step into the studio, the laboratory, and the city streets to see exactly how the shocking brightness of the neon age took on a life of its own. As we look back on the unforgettable neon fashion of the 80s, It's incredible to realize just how much those vibrant colors shaped not only what we wore, but how we felt, stylish, confident, and part of something that was decidedly new. From their bold arrival after the earth-toned 70s, neon hues took center stage, thanks to music videos, movies, and the ever-present thrum of pop culture. We watched as our favorite artists lit up the screen in wildy pinks and acid greens, tempting us to splash those same lively shades onto windbreakers, leg warmers, and high-top sneakers. Neon was more than a passing fad. It was a beacon for a generation eager to break free from the past and claim the moment as their own. We found neon not just in our closets but everywhere, from the gym to the backyard, the school hallway, to block parties stretched out under the fluorescent hum of streetlights. You could spot friends in a crowd by their glowing yellow t-shirts or electric blue socks, and even the least fashion-forward among us couldn't resist a few jelly bracelets or a glow-in-the-dark accessory, no matter how fleeting the actual luminescence. Neon was an equalizer, timid or bold. Everyone had their own way of expressing it. Parents may have sighed, and teachers may have squinted, but those colors became woven into the memories of our first dances, unforgettable summers, and afternoons spent skateboarding down sunlit sidewalks. What's most remarkable is how neon fashion captured the spirit of a decade that was all about taking risks, finding fun, and leaving a mark. It was the decade of cassette tapes, roller rinks, and arcades buzzing with color, where fashion truly mirrored the optimism and dynamism of youth. Neon stood for self-expression and the joy of standing out, an outward sign of the excitement and hopefulness pulsing through the 80s. Even now, decades later, when we glimpse a flash of hot pink or a lime green pattern in a shop window, it's impossible not to smile at the memory of all those glowing outfits and the fearless energy they represented. Now think back, did you have a favorite neon piece that you wore so often it nearly glowed in the dark on its own? Do you recall stepping out in your brightest outfit feeling like you and your friends could light up the whole neighborhood? As you reflect on those times, what emotions come rushing back? Was it freedom, laughter, maybe a dash of rebellion, or a sense of pure belonging in a world alive with possibilities? I'd love to hear your stories. Share in the comments the neon fashion moments you remember best, or the items you wish you still had tucked away in a drawer. Who knows, maybe you'll inspire someone else to dig out their own cherished mementos and join in the trip down memory lane. If this video sparked even a hint of those glowing memories, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and consider sharing it with friends who'd love to relive those vibrant years. And stay tuned, there's so much more nostalgia to explore together, from the trends that shaped us to the places and moments that still glimmer in our memories. After all, just like neon lights up even the darkest corners, our memories of the 80s keep shining bright, reminding us that sometimes the best way to stand out is simply to let your brightest colors shine.